Yeah, no, I think because it's if people know what it is, but they don't do that exploration itself, they don't truly understand it. And that's why I do what I do and why I'm so passionate about what I do is that I do not want to be another one of these voices in the void that's just shouting at people that you have to think this way. And I have a general sketch of what I believe a good life is. And I'm only in my 27th year of life. Like, I certainly don't have all the answers to anything. I never will. And I won't get close. But what I want to do for people is provoke those thoughts inside of them and say, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? What is propelling me to do this? Why am I going in this direction? Why do I believe these things? And then what I've come to really find out is that all value driven people, in essence, are essentially the same. Because when and I've worked with now dozens, if not hundreds of people who have I've had value conversations about like what your values are. And a lot of values, like the ones on my value chart, the one on your value chart through our mutual men's group that we're all in, a lot of those values are the same. They're like hard work and faith and excellence and all of these things that we talk about all the time. So the value driven people will find each other if given the proper context, to your point about naming these things and what are these things specifically and how can these be used and leveraged to live a better life. But it's about providing the worldview that is going to be my biggest proposition to people who engage with my content and who engage with me, is that I want to evangelize the value driven worldview, because I believe at the end of the day, all values essentially lead to the same endpoint for all people. Regardless, if you like, you and I have nothing in common from our upbringing.
Right.
Right? You are Sri Lankan. I am about the whitest person you've ever seen in your entire life. I'm from the Midwest. You're from California. You did different things to your career. I did different things to my career, but yet we have found each other. We're here. We are friends. We are colleagues because of not of any of those things. It is because of the values that have brought us together. And the reason why I'm honored to share this platform with you this afternoon. And that is, I think, what I want to make evident above everything else. It's just the value driven worldview and with the blessings that can bring to people.
1,000%, man. I think the question I have for you, right? I think because when I look back, I think through all phases of life, we are all subconsciously guilty of seeking approval from folks, right? Whether that's, parents,
Yep.
society, colleagues, managers, mentors, like personal relationships, you name it, right? Whether we choose them or not, we deep down, like, it means certain compliments mean more from others, people,
Yes.
right? It's frankly how the world works. So I'm curious from your perspective, when you think of values, right? Do you think if someone has those values laid out clearly, like they're not that they're immune to it, but like they're less prone to maybe feeling like, okay, like I really care about what other people think from your conversation? Or do you feel like that's still it's inherent human nature where it's like we're at some level we're going to seek approval whether we have our values like clear and we embody that in our day-to-day life?
I do think it's inherent human nature. I think that's a really astute observation. It is human nature, but also there's more agency than people believe in terms of how often they buy into certain narratives that people tell them, because you will be programmed by something. Humans, there's a reason why the biggest booming business in the world in AI is modeled after the human brain. There's a reason why it's called a neural network, is because the machines that we are now programming and making now learn like the human brain does. And how we learn is by programming, just like an LLM does, just like an AI machine does, whatever that AI machine is. And so you will be programmed by something. You'll be programmed by the culture. You'll be programmed by your religious faith. You'll be programmed by your parents. You'll be programmed by yourself. And what I believe is that if you go through the process of adopting values, you will end up in terms of being programmed primarily by your values. So it's not a matter of whether you will be swayed by the opinions of others. That is going to happen regardless. And in some ways it should happen, because my values have been swayed by other people. Like, for example, my Christian faith was not a part of my life up until about maybe 5 years ago. And that was swayed by primarily two people, Taylor Higgins and Sam Jarrett, who are two of my very best friends and basically my spiritual mentors, and have been for a very long time, as well as being my friends, like I mentioned earlier. And so you need to be open relatively, but once you have your value system locked in place, it's just a matter of which noise gets lowered and which noise gets higher, or raised, excuse me. That's not a word. Which noise gets lowered and then higher, or raised, excuse me.
Right.
And if your values are the things that are getting raised inside of the amplification in your head, then naturally there is not going to be enough space for the opinions of others to dominate your headspace. And that's going to be the key differentiation. You cannot totally get rid of it. I think that the people who do get rid of the opinions of other people are probably mentally ill and psychopathic in some way. But if you're able to have an additional force, most likely your values, in contrast to that, you will probably end up faring much better than other people do from a wide variety of aspects.
A wealth of gems in a couple of minutes, as always with Sam. No, that's great. And to your point, I mean, that's just who we are. But I think the more I've noticed, at least the more grounded you are in like yourself, who you are, what you stand for, you kind of it doesn't affect you as much. I mean, again, like to your point, we're humans, we need interaction. So it's gonna happen, but you feel more confident and like confident in yourself that okay, like I know
Yep.
who I am as a person, right? If you take everything else away.
Yep. Yeah, I think that because that's what I think people are missing for themselves. Like I think it's now before Kanye and Kanye's gone like really wild in the last couple of
Right.
years. But so like this is like pre anti-Semite Kanye West.
Right.
But Kanye was and still is a big influence of mine, and he is to a lot of people. But for me, he embodies this mindset when he's in his right mental state more than anybody that maybe I've ever seen. In terms of he has his set of values and he is going to enforce them on the world no matter what. Even when he's kind of gone off the rails a couple times, because he is going to get his thing out there. You will not question where Kanye stands on anything. And I think what really brought this home. This is one of my favorite quotes. Might be my favorite quote ever that I've heard from anybody. It comes from him. He was doing a interview with Zane Lowe after he dropped Yeezus. And so they were playing it in the background. He was talking about everything else. And he said, he's like, I always believe that I can do anything. And he's like, that's what the people in the world are most controlled by. It's the perception of themselves. If you can believe that you won't do anything, you won't do anything. But I was taught that I could do everything. And now I'm where I'm at the age that I'm at and having the impact that I'm at. So again, it's that self-perception inside of your head that allows you to get to the point of where you want to get to. And if that perception is stretched, you will get far